Hey, everybody. Welcome to our WWE post-game live show after night one of SummerSlam. Our guy, Fernando, already in the chat. Shout out to Fernando. Thank you for being here live with us. All right, Jeremy, you watched this show with Big Dave. Who else was at Big Dave's house tonight?
It was just him, myself, and John Quinn. Our good friend John Quinn stopped by, and he'll be there tomorrow as well.
Oh, I missed John Quinn. Bummer. I haven't seen John Quinn in a bit, but I watched it by myself, and I kind of watched it in record time there because there was a lot of padding as usual in the packages before the show starts, the packages after, the commercials after. So there's only, 6 matches?
Yeah, half a dozen, half-hour segment felt like until the main event.
What was the run time, like 3.5 hours?
Yeah, I want to say 3.5, maybe 3:35.
Okay, cool. I think I took like less than half of that to watch the entire thing. So that tells you how much padding was in that show, which I don't generally have a problem with it. If you're watching live, you're kind of hanging out with your buddies and chit-chatting.
Talking shop.
Yeah, getting some food, whatever. The live crowd, I wonder how the live crowd thinks about all that stuff. But
they didn't get energized until 15 minutes into the first match, and the show started at 3. The first match, the bell rang at 3:20, and then it went another 15 minutes before the crowd was like, "Oh, hey, we got life in us." And from then on, there were moments here and there, but man, being in that crowd must have been a long day.
Yeah, but the problem, I think it's twofold. The problem is you're in this open air stadium, and the sound is a little different for those kinds of shows.
Mm-hmm.
But also, when you have these two shows, the way you're kind of, it's not. I would imagine most of the people are going to both shows, so it's not like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm only going to be here for, one show and I got to get all, like, you're kind of like, I'm here for a while. I'll check in, but I'm not gonna, shoot my wad right away, let's say. But I always think these kind of shows are kind of funky though when you do them in the open air. Like, even watching it is so weird because my favorite part of watching these big stadium shows is kind of when the sun goes down and it gets to dusk, or when it turns to night, and the show was over so quickly. I don't even know if it was night by the time Seth Rollins cashed in.
Yeah, we were talking about this, and they're like, "Why did the show start at 3?" And in my mind, I'm like, "Well, the last time they ran a show here, everyone was stranded in the middle of the night because they didn't bank on the metro being closed, and so they shut this down so everybody can get back on the transit by 10:30, 11 o'clock, which good for them for planning that out and learning from their mistakes. But like the whole timing of this thing is just so funny, and the MetLife itself. You've been to these big stadium shows, Dallas. I went to Miami. You're not watching the ring; you're looking at the big screen.
Yeah.
Like the only way that you can watch and follow is like looking at the screen. And so you're reacting almost a split second to a second after everything is happening because of just the transmission of time. So the open air thing is definitely different than if you're watching it inside of an arena.
Also want to shout out Zach and Alpha Omega in the channel as well. So we got to talk about the top news.
Mm-hmm.
It is everything that we thought, and I thought was the right thing to do here, which is Seth Rollins cashing in on CM Punk to become the new champion. I thought it was well done. It is cheap. Let me start out by saying it is cheap, and I generally dislike it. And the reason why I dislike it is because to me it feels like if you're going to win a championship, it should be a hard-fought victory. There should be a battle. There should be a story. And it shouldn't just be this cheap thing. Now, he's a heel, so that helps with the cheapness. It's even worse when babyfaces do it. So that aside, we knew it was coming.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that Seth, and I don't even want to say Seth isn't really hurt. These guys are all banged up. I don't think Seth tore his knee in that match on Saturday night's main event. That was specifically for an angle. Dave and I have been saying so on Wrestling Observer Radio. Once I kind of figured out what was, because if you remember that weekend, I was at a wedding, so I was kind of catching up to the news that night and the next day, and then I figured out what was going on, and then John Pollock had his statement, and I was like, okay, this is a work. Like this is a brilliant work because it has the fans questioning, and whenever the fans question, you've done something right. This one wasn't see-through. Now, to me, I get to talk to Dave Meltzer every week, so I was going to have this figured out sooner than most, especially if he was so confident that he had it figured out. But even that, I still thought it was the right thing to do. And when you're building your SummerSlam show around 2 nights and around moments, you needed to cap off night 1 with a moment. And that's why I thought they were going to do it, and that's why I thought it was going to be a great idea. You have the Cena and Cody Rhodes thing. Maybe The Rock shows up tomorrow. We're not really sure if that's going to happen, but if there is this further telling of the John Cena turning heel, and then he had the weirdo semi-face turn on SmackDown, which I still don't understand. If they're playing off of that and Rock shows up on Sunday, then that is the moment that is going to go viral just by him being there. Or maybe it's John Cena turns back babyface and there's a hug. That could go viral. I'm thinking of, how does WWE like their shows to go off air, their big shows? They like to have moments that fans get excited about and that they like to tweet about and they like to tell their friends about and they like to go back and watch on YouTube. And so for that reason, the Seth thing was perfect. I thought the timing was great. Seth is the king of the cash-in. He's done this well. You and I were live the first time that he did it,
right?
Which was a great moment in
the
WrestleMania
heist of the
history
century
at WrestleMania 31 to close Roman and Brock. And I thought this one was just as excellently well done as well.
That was the heist of the century, and now they're calling this the ruse of the century. So you have this pattern of ways that he's going with this. I have a lot of mixed thoughts about this. On the whole, I liked it, and I agree with you that this was the right way to go. It was Seth Rollins being crowned like the king of Raw, with his group. He stuck it to Punk one more time. You keep the change moving, and if you had a list of a checkbox of things that you wanted to accomplish in this night, you could say that you checked it all off, and you got a really good grade doing so. And I was thinking about the show Unreal that we all kind of consumed at one point, and Triple H talking about making sure that one specific moment stays with you for the entire show. And when the match ended and Punk won the belt, there was a is this the moment? And then we all just kind of sat there and we waited and then we saw the cash in, and okay, here we go. And they teased it a little bit, and they had almost like the Kaiser Soze reveal. I've been manipulating this all along, and that's where I start to get a little uneasy, because we're entering a new level of audience manipulation with the way that they went about this. This was, we are going to flat out lie to you about an injury occurring on a live broadcast in order to put in motion a story in which this person reveals he's not injured after all and cashes in and wins the world title. There's a lot about this that will get some portions of the audience now believing that every injury is a work and that they are going to come back and be a surprise thing when people really do get hurt. And it sucks, and they have to go and work really, really hard to come back. And there is a mental aspect of it that you're playing with fire, and I don't love it.
Are you playing with fire or are you playing with karma?
I think you're playing with karma, but I think when you play with karma, you play with fire. So I think you're a little more on the nose with calling it the karma aspect. So you're potentially going down a dangerous path, but you're always doing that in wrestling. You're always kind of like pushing the envelope and seeing what you can get away with before people are like, "Hey, man, you need to stop with this," and you pull back and do that. I think the checkboxes thing really bugs me because this was a great moment, but it felt like it was coming. We all kind of saw it, and it was the audience felt like it was going to happen, and then it happened, and it delivered on an expectation. But an expectation doesn't feel like the product really has heart. Like every event that we've had lately is just kind of like a checkbox to get to the next one. And I'm not even necessarily sure that this moment hit because I'm not sure we were all as invested in it because we were all more interested in whether Seth was lying or not.
They have a heavy schedule for one. And
Right.
and that there is something to that where it's like, okay, we got to get through this thing to get to the next thing. And then Clash at Paris is then to get to the next thing. It's just this rotating events. You want your fan base to watch Raw so that they watch SmackDown. So then they watch the 2-night pay-per-views. Right. So then they watch Raw again. So then they watch SmackDown. And I think more than ever, because of how cheap it is to get access to these shows, they are just part of your WWE ecosystem that you can just there's the specialness is kind of out of it. When WrestleMania doesn't cost anything to watch, then you're like, okay, like great, I get to watch WrestleMania. I don't have to worry about paying, but it's gonna feel less special. And I don't even know if it's because WWE sees it as less special. It's just more accessible to us. So our expectations are a little different. As far as the moments and the heart and what you said about the heart of the product, there is something to that, while at the same time, this is the hottest that they've ever been
right
in 20 years, I would say. So while it may be meaningful for us, we also watch this stuff a lot differently. So I don't even know if my heart could be in it as it used to be because of what we do. Like we watch it to talk about it rather than watching it to watch it. So it's a little bit of a different thing there as well for me. I'll only speak for myself because
I would say like it's curated for the masses, and that's what it should be. It should be as appealing to as much of a general audience as possible. But when you do that, and when you watch it the way that we do, sometimes you do get invested in specific wrestlers or stories or long-term arcs, and I'm less invested in the long term with them because everything just feels so mechanical.
I think it's a fair analysis, but you understand how it could seem to somebody when they sell 50,000 tickets for,
right.
for these shows, which means to those 50,000 people, they're getting something electric from this stuff that maybe isn't resonating with us as much as it is.
And it could be that I've watched a lot of wrestling and, like this is the first time they've seen a cash in, or maybe they were a kid when Seth Rollins had that first cash in, and now they're watching it again, and it's it's bringing them back. It's a nostalgia, it's a vibe. There's a whole lot of different things that you can attribute to the feeling of Seth Rollins cashing in tonight.
You know what it feels like to me? It feels like an algorithm. I watch some of my favorite shows are on Apple TV. Apple TV does like 10 episode seasons, and there is a depth to their storytelling, But with only 10 episodes at 45 minutes an episode, there's only so much story you can actually tell. So what you have to do is you have to hit the points that you were just talking about that WWE is looking to hit.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure within the scope of how they make these shows, they go, look, we'll waste time and tell this story because this story is going to work with our audience. This other story, which may be heartfelt and which may be excellent, our audience doesn't care. So let's not waste the time and go there. And that may be what WWE is right now, is we know how to play the hits. We know what our audience wants. It is working better than it has since Stone Cold and The Rock were ripping and running in the Attitude Era. And thus, this is what we're going to do because we are a corporation and we are a process and we are not wasting money, and we're making sure that we give all of our partners the amount of content we need to get them because we need to continue to do that to make money, and then we move on. So I think there's an aspect of that, but I don't know that it's not a smart thing. I think it's actually very smart and very well reasoned. But for someone like yourself who watches New Japan Pro Wrestling, who does it completely differently,
I watch all the time to see how like everybody does it, you know.
But like, think about New Japan. If New Japan was more accessible, you have to do some work to watch New Japan. You do a lot of research and time spent in following this product because that is your beat. But
it's probably the least accessible it's been in years, in all honesty, right now.
But to me, because of what I cover, it's harder for me to watch. But if I was just a fan and I wasn't doing this and I wasn't doing Observer, that would be the one that I would want to follow the most, even more than AEW, just because it's the style of storytelling that I find to be heartfelt and worth it. It's just not working very well because they lost all of their stars. That being said, what I like about wrestling and what you like about wrestling is probably not the majority. We are very specific, and it's part of it is why we're still watching after all of these years. But the current fan base in WWE is probably not like us as much.
Sure.
And this is what WWE has learned, what TKO has learned about how to fulfill the needs of their current audience and keep them tuning in and not churning out. So no, it's an awesome discussion that, you know, I would love to talk to somebody from WWE or TKO about this. But okay, so the Seth thing worked out very well. What did you think about the CM Punk and Gunther match in of itself?
I thought it was a one-sided ass kicking until the table spot, and then, you know, Gunther, you know, pulled out the blade, did the whole deal. They started selling the nose, and Punk had his miraculous comeback.
How was that the nose, though? This dude was bleeding all over his forehead.
I mean, it could have just been a whole face thing, you know, like forehead down to the bridge, and it's just like, you know, you went down hard at a certain angle, and he comes back up, and, you know, blinded by blood, you know, can't smell anything, mouth is covered in copper. It's got to be awful.
I loved that.
I thought it was not like a 5-star match, but it was a really good match. You know, like Punk in a main event scenario is very smart, and he understands what he needs to do. And at one point, I was wondering if Joseph Park was going to get in trouble for going long in the back with Pritchard, because it felt like they were taking their time at certain points in this match.
You're like, oh, now we know who to blame. It wasn't Seth Rollins' fault. That was a WWE Unreal callback, by the way, if you haven't watched Unreal. Oh, by the way, I wanted to shout out Maria Graciela in the chat as well, who is always hanging out with us, and we appreciate you.
Hello.
Okay, so my thoughts on Punk and Gunther were, I thought it was a really good match, and then the last, 3 minutes, I thought it got to great, but it didn't sit at great for the entire match to me. Some people, really liked it at that level. I thought the last 3 minutes were pretty brilliant, though. The idea, it was kind of like a Rocky IV moment, like the Russian is cut,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like never been cut before, so he didn't know how to deal with that. And I mean, I'm sure Gunther has bled in matches before. I don't remember it too often, but him like trying to bat the blood out of his eyes
Right.
and trying to like tell Punk, like, no, pause, like I'm not ready. And Punk then turning into Brawler Street Fighter. I loved that aspect of the match. He was like, nope. This now, what you're good at is handicapped here a little bit because you now are bleeding, and here's what I'm good at. And he started to brawl with him and take advantage of that. Now, here's what I'm very interested in, which was the finish, which was the GTS into Gunther selling being off balance for like 10 seconds into the second GTS. We live in a day and age where pro wrestlers spam finishing moves. I was hoping, because this was the Gunther Punk match, they were not going to do that, but they did it.
I thought they moved heaven and earth to try and make Gunther look amazing before losing this match. Like the majority of this match was him having Punk's number and just beating him from pillar to post. And even Punk giving him one GTS and looking at him like, nope, it's gonna take more than that to put this guy down and do that. So I looked at it from a protection of Gunther more than it was like the spamming, but I totally justify where you're coming from on that because
well, look, if you're protecting Gunther, he's a heel, so I don't know if you have to protect him that much, but like you said, he took 90% of this match and he's just power bombing this dude on the back of his head and on his back like so many different times. So I thought he looked strong no matter what, and then you just lose to the better guy. But yeah,
Punk
I
having the indomitable will and the story of the underdog, he gets by on that. Gunther just looks like unstoppable on the other end. And at some point, Gunther is going to be the guy that you're cheering for being unstoppable on that end. And, it's like they had that formula with Rhea Ripley. And, Gunther doesn't have that punk rock aspect of Rhea Ripley, but he does have a very similar aesthetic that when he transfers over into someone that the audience wants to cheer for, it's going to be really interesting to see what he can maximize out of that.
Mm-hmm. So Fernando said Gunther, his second title reign was very short. Not sure if that's a good idea. This is all optics to what they were getting to tonight, which is the cash in. Punk against Jey Uso, babyface versus babyface. Not as interesting, I don't think. You're not telling that same CM Punk underdog storyline because in order for Seth's cash in to be as fantastic as it was, you needed Punk to exhaust himself in that match against the Bully. So that's why it happened in that way. And if you believe in Gunther, then you know that he'll be fine coming out of this because he's excellent. What I hope is that Gunther gets in the mix with the other belt, but I don't know. I can't really tell where they're going with him yet.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we got to a scenario where Seth got both belts. There could be a Rock is hitching his wagon with the hottest heel act once Cena's off the grid, and that would play into Cody and the conflict with the Rock because of the Rollins tying his wagon with Dwayne, which isn't completely out of the question, especially since Dwayne as a final boss is definitely probably looking for those top guys that he can, really supplant his act with.
You know who I want to be
Drew.
the Dwayne heater. Yeah, that's who I want.
And I was thinking Drew all the way back at Mania, but
yeah, you actually were on the Drew thing like way earlier.
Yeah, I was like, the guy that could really use that is Drew, and I still believe that. It's just the trajectory for him right now just seems not main event adjacent. The last thing I'm going to mention here is that Punk had a Fantastic Four gear on tonight with all that stuff. So really ironic that at the very end he was doomed by Seth Rollins.
If you watch the movie, you'll get that joke. Okay, so last of our kind of top headlines, and then we'll go to the rest of the matches. We'll talk about all of the matches after this, but I wanted to get to the main headlines, and I wanted to get your thoughts on this because I have been anti Jelly Roll pretty much from the beginning. I don't care for his music, but that's not why I don't like him. I don't like his look. I don't think he should be going even with any of these pro wrestlers. I don't think that he is very athletic. I don't think he's got great facial expressions. He looks like a tall, big fan. That's what he looks like to me. And I don't like that in my pro wrestling. Now, I will say, if he had a great performance tonight, I was so ready to give him his kudos and say, okay, I was being harsh on the dude. I don't think he had that. I can't tell if I'm so disappointed in his performance, but also sort of validating my worries from the beginning, or if I'm being fair. What was the thought at Big Dave's house about this match and Jelly Roll and how he was?
So that's actually funny. Jelly Roll came out, and I looked at John and I looked at Dave, and I was like, before Jelly Roll became involved in WWE, did either of you have any idea who this guy was? Because I didn't. Like, in all honesty, you know what I'm into. You see behind me, it's nerd stuff, it's podcast, it's grunge music, alternative.
Well, you would know him if he was a comic book fan and publicly.
Maybe,
he's really famous. Right,
but I don't know that. So it was one of those, I'm not really watching SmackDown other than the YouTube and seeing these viral things. And so I'm asking them, are you familiar? And they're like, oh yeah, I know Jelly Roll. And like John's explaining to me, like he became aware of him in like 2022, 2023, lost a ton of weight, it's like he turned his life around. And Dave talking to me, like, all right, so I'm the uncool one here. I get it. That's fine. And then I watched the match and I'm like, yeah, somebody paid a lot of money for a cross promotion here, because I don't get, other than everyone's just having a good time in a party match. This isn't anything spectacular. And then Logan Paul pinned him, and I'm like, okay.
Okay, so I was also interested in seeing like how successful he is. I know some of the songs because they're on the Sirius XM1.
His wife has a very popular podcast I was made aware of.
Hits One. Who is his wife? I don't even know who his wife is.
It was a woman named Pepper XO that was in the audience. And I will tell you, when you saw her, she had blonde hair and very full collagen lips. And basically, she looks exactly how you think a beautiful Jelly Roll wife would look.
Okay, so I looked at how much money he makes. He makes about what a sort of maybe not the tippy top WWE superstar would make, but somewhere right underneath there. So he's famous.
He's never going to be worrying about anything for the rest of his life.
No, but he's also not, Taylor Swift level or anything. Nobody is, but he's not that popular and that famous. But still, he is way more famous than a lot of the wrestlers. He's more famous than the majority of the wrestlers. For him to come in here, to have a bad performance, to be given the Hulk Hogan comeback, to take a big splash off the top rope through the table, and then lose. Is he just a mark for WWE? Like, that's the part that I don't understand.
The only logical thing that I could come up with is that there is some explanation from WWE to basically say, it's like, see, even if you're a regular guy and you can't come in here, you can't hang. Like, that's basically regular people can't hang in the wrestling ring, and we're gonna like beat your ass kind of in a SummerSlam match, rather than, in the past you had Stephen Amell doing a SummerSlam match.
But Dave told me that this dude has had some wrestling training before.
okay, a backyard ring doesn't mean that this guy is going to be able to do a 25-minute match, clearly.
Well, I guess my more of my question was, when WWE sees these celebrities as bigger than life and bigger than the wrestlers, they put these guys over. So they must not have seen Jelly Roll at that level. But if I was Jelly Roll, I would have been like, if I'm going to lose, I shouldn't like be taking a pin. Like I should like, but unless he is a mark for the wrestlers, then maybe
there's a cart before the horse thing going on with these celebrities in WWE right now. Like they got Travis Scott in there, and now like they're cutting promos that like the only rapper that's gonna beat your ass is me with a platinum rap. It's gonna be me, and you bring Jelly Roll in there, and it's almost like they brought Bad Bunny, and it worked so well that the confidence factor of repeating that magic is almost like it doesn't matter how good the rest that person's ability is. If they have a little and we put them with the right guy, we can make this work. And it's like in retroactively, they're gonna make this look amazing. They're gonna have the highlight reels of all the amazing stuff, and they won't draw upon like him losing. Maybe he'll come back and he'll have another match with Logan Paul and he wins that match. That's the best thing that I can come up with, is a Logan Paul Jelly Roll match at like WrestleMania next year. And then you have all the whistles and bells. You have all the Twitch streamers, and you have like people, the WWE contract coming in helping in Jelly Roll. It's like, that's what this feels like. It didn't feel like a swan song for Jelly Roll as much as it was like, hey, we got stuff to do here, but this person isn't going to be around all the time, so we're gonna like put something in there, give him something, a reason to come back and beat some ass when it's time, and then he'll get his big win. That's the only thing that I can think of that makes any sense out of all.
Okay, so we have a celebrity who was on this show who we can actually use as a comparison. Cardi B was the host.
Mm-hmm.
Hostess. She is exponentially worth more than Jelly Roll. If she was in a match, let's say she and Jade were in a tag team match against two of the women, Cardi B's not getting pinned on this show.
No.
So they see Jelly Roll as not all that famous, which is kind of my...
Is Cardi B going to have another match after this? Is it setting up something in the future? Is this something where Jelly Roll comes back at the Royal Rumble and throws Paul out, and then you set something up in the future?
I do not want to see them have a match, by the way.
I don't either, but like the example is, I see Jelly Roll coming back and doing more work. I don't ever see, like, a hypothetical of Cardi B is great, but it's how much work are we getting out of this individual? Is it a one and done? Or is this, over the course of the next year, let's lay out a couple of opportunities for us to do work together?
So Transferring Heat, shout out to Transferring Heat, says he thinks next year Logan will be WWE champ. And I agree. Logan was really good in this match. You know who else thinks that Logan is going to be future WWE champ? None other than the current, or actually he's not current. Maybe he'll be current tomorrow. Cody Rhodes. It's based on the Bill Simmons podcast, said
right.
that Logan is as bad of a person as you can imagine. He went a little short of calling him a dick, but then said when it comes to the possibilities with him, he's like, this dude is great.
Undeniably talented. But we're not, like, being given the WWE title in WWE is not totally a referendum on your character.
No, not at all.
It's a business decision. And if there is an opportunity to put that belt on Logan Paul to get a level of heat among the fan base and you're able to go viral on a more consistent level with that title everywhere, and then you're able to get the biggest baby of all baby faces to win that title back, it's like, that's the tale as old as time.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go through the entire show. So the opener was Roman Reigns and Jey Uso. They beat Bron Breakker Bronson Reed. I really liked this match. I did not like the production of this match. It felt like The camera was zoomed out when it needed to be zoomed in. It felt like the camera was a little late in switching over when it needed to focus on the right thing that the announcers were actually calling. So I don't know what was up with that, but I got a kick out of Roman Reigns kind of goofing off with Jey a little bit. I thought that was a lot of fun. Both Bronson and Braun, I thought looked great. I thought like coming out of that match, I was like, they're the best tag team in WWE. Just have them win the tag team titles. Let's not worry about these smaller teams in this, this match tomorrow night. Let's put the belts on the real tag team main eventers here. But I thought the match was great. Like you had athleticism, you had a very, I don't even know if you'd call it traditional, but it's about as traditional as 2025 pro wrestling is going to be in WWE as far as the style of tag team match.
Oh, the layout was, yeah.
Using Jey to sell, trying to get to the hot tag. We even had the spot where Jey was about to reach Roman and then Bronson pulled Roman out. That spot is as old as time, always works. And then they finally hot tagged into Roman. I was actually surprised Jey got the pin on Bronson Reed. So Roman was there as a good cousin, I guess you could say, because I completely thought Roman was going to pin Bronson Reed after a spear, but that did not happen. Jey hit the splash off the top rope after Bronson was about to hit a tsunami, but Roman Superman punched him off the top rope. And there was tons of outside, they're going to the well one too many times with this Bron Breakker running around and blasting people. They did it like 3 or 4 times in this match alone.
He got hurt.
Yeah. That's a violent spot. And also, the more he does it, the less meaningful it is, because I only need to see it once, and I'm like, this dude's a badass. Right. If I see it 5 times, I'm like, okay, maybe it's not as special this 4th and 5th time. That was really my only critique of it. I know some people wanted to see Braun and Bronson win. I did not think that they should have won, especially if Seth was going to cash in at the end. So I thought that because and here's why, and I said this with Dave. I love Seth holding the title and being like the smartest guy, and then Braun literally just called himself the leader of the crew on Raw, and Seth going like, yeah, you guys did a good job, but the real leader is here. Like I like this is what it's all about.
Interim Braun.
Yeah. So overall, what did you think about this match?
I have a little bit of a hot take here, and I kind of thought it was a really good Raw main event.
That's funny because I thought the same about every other match except for the opener and the main event.
I didn't think a couple of those were good Raw main events. I thought a couple of them were good Raw matches. We'll get to those at some point. But yeah, this match was very formulaic, and it relied on the aura of Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. Like, all 4 of these guys have that, oh, damn, this guy's in this match too. That's really cool. And they hit, to some extent, the potential on that. But I felt like they left a lot in the chamber, especially when it came to Braun and Roman. And I thought that finish was really interesting because it gave you a little bit of a tease of Roman and Braun in the future, with Braun like tearing Roman in half one last time before Jey got the upper hand on Bronson. And then they were kind of separated. And then the finish was something, completely adjacent to all of that. I thought the crowd was hot for it in the very beginning when they did like the characteristics and they restarted Jey's music. But once it went to Jey just, selling for 10 minutes, the crowd was just like, okay. And they really laid it on thick. And I'm not even sure the crowd went as hot as it could have when they finally were able to like turn it around with Roman getting that hot tag.
I think the crowd is like, what? These guys have to tag to get in the ring? What is this? This is not pro wrestling in 2025. So Fernando says he thinks Braun is winning the Rumble and challenging Seth. That's what I want to see.
Sammy or Braun would be my two guys to win the Rumble at this point.
All right. So the next match was a kind of a replica of this match. It was Charlotte and Alexa winning the women's tag championships from Raquel and Roxanne. Alexa selling. The difference here, I don't know if Alexa is very good as the fiery underdog babyface. Like the moments were there. She tried her ass off. It didn't really connect with me. There were a couple of times where she's running the ropes and I could tell she's like counting her spots or counting her steps. And I also think, and you talked about your hot take, Roxanne Perez is kind of who maybe the fans want Alexa to be as far as that small wrestler who's like really good. Like if you compare the actual wrestling between the two women, like Roxanne is heads and shoulders above where Alexa Bliss is. Now I want to give Alexa Bliss some benefit of the doubt. She had a child. She's made her comeback. That is relevant in this discussion. That is hard. There's so much difficulty in that. So I want to give her kudos in that. But at the same time, what we're watching on television, I think we can critique fairly. And the story of Alexa and Charlotte together, I think is a really, really fun one. And there's a great shot as Alexa's about to hit the move. Earlier in the match, she accidentally punched Charlotte. And so she's doing her sister Abigail, and they have a shot of Charlotte in the corner waiting as if she's going to hit Alexa. But instead, what she's actually doing is she's waiting for Raquel to try and interfere. And Alexa can't see Raquel because she's looking at Charlotte, and she had an oh shit moment. But then Charlotte kicks Raquel, and Alexa's like, whew, okay, I can hit my move now. I thought that was very well done. I kind of crapped on the camera's shots in the first match. It was excellent. They did that thing perfectly, and it was well done. But the fans weren't that into it because they just saw that match done better and more athletically by the men. I would have split up the tag team matches, and I would have agented them a little bit differently, or I would have split them on different nights because they were too similar.
Maybe put Becky and Lyra on that spot, and then Charlotte and that tag match on the second night. But maybe they have reasons for, keeping the Judgment Day apart on these two nights as well. That thing. The thing about this match was it was very similar, like you said, to the other one, except there was no inclination to make the Judgment Day look anything other than the opponents to Alexa and Charlotte in this match. Whereas in the other one, there was a concerted effort to make Braun especially look like the next greatest thing, and Bronson as well, but it was basically, Braun. This one, it didn't have that, and it was reliant on Raquel, trying to be dominant and stepping into that role as that big opposing force.
She wants to be the leader of the team, is the story.
Right? Just kind of like she just didn't have that fiery presence to really like sell me on that. And you were talking about Alexa, and the thing that I was thinking about when I was watching it was, for the last 5 years, she's been an accessory to the Wyatts or whatever. And, her personal life, she stepped away for the family and marriage. And she's come back. And, since then we've learned that she was like the fifth horseman and had kind of a chip on her shoulder about like not being considered on the level of, Sasha, Bayley, Becky, and Charlotte. And now she's kind of getting that opportunity. And I watch her and, I see her as like, she doesn't have to be doing this. She's pretty much set for life with the way that she's doing it. She's out there trying to prove something. And I don't know if necessarily she's succeeding at that, but I can tell that she's out there with something to prove.
I just think she's also better as a heel than she is as a babyface.
Oh, that's fair too.
Sami Zayn and Karrion. Hold on, I think I have to yawn. Cross. Holy cow, dude! When are we gonna stop with this guy? He's got a cute character. I understand why people like him. The people also like it when somebody feels like they're deserving of more and they're kind of mythically held back and there's a glass ceiling placed above their head.
You can't talk about him like he's a martyr when his name is Cross.
I'm so tired of this guy because while I can enjoy the character and the maniacalness and the promos, when they turn the lights on in the ring and they ring the bell, I am bored. When you make a Sami Zayn match boring, there's something wrong. I don't know why they keep trying. This is very similar to me with the what's the dude in NXT, Ridge Holland. I understand the look with Ridge Holland and why they keep trying with him more so. But they're just two big dudes who don't do anything once they step inside the ropes. Like, they step inside the ropes and they make the matches worse. I don't understand why we continue with these guys.
I just felt bad. It's like I'm watching this and it's like I'm watching this guy's opportunity just kind of evaporate, because this was a SummerSlam match with Sami Zayn, like a one-on-one match, and it was nothing. Like, he didn't show anything. You know what I mean? Like, it was a raw, like, middle of the card match.
What's that move that Sami Zayn? What's it called when Sami Zayn does that move where he kind of picks the person up and throws them backwards into the corner?
Exploder suplex?
Yeah. Cross went up, and I'll paraphrase John the Rocca here. Cross went up like a sack of shit.
Just the whole thing. And you saw the bar get introduced to the thing, and it was almost like how the bar was utilized was a metaphor for the rest of Cross's career, it felt like. Just like, if he wins this match, he might have something. If he does not win this match, where do you go from here? Like, where do you go in WWE? And if you're not in WWE, where do you go from here?
Okay, it was interesting that these two matches were kind of back to back, because I'm at the point with Karrion Kross that I don't even really want to see him on TV anymore. Like, I'm just done with him. I'm like, look, we have so many younger wrestlers who have so much more opportunity and talent. Like, not that I need to see Ethan Page any more than I do on NXT, but replace the two guys, right? Put Ethan Page in a similar spot of Karrion Kross, and Ethan Page gets over way more.
You know what they should do with Karrion Kross? Put him in a tag with Malachi Black.
Oh my God. That might be something that they do, actually.
I'm saying it could actually work.
But okay, so this next match, I'm actually interested, and I want to know what the house thought about this too, because I thought Karrion Kross lost a ton, and to the point of where I don't know if he should be on these shows anymore. But at the same time, I almost wonder if Jade Cargill lost more.
Oh, she absolutely did,
because she got pinned flat in the middle of the ring in a nothing match, and I'm not sure she even did a ton in losing.
Is this a referendum? Like, this is the die is cast on her kind of thing, where it's just like, if she was, again, with like Cross, you win this match or you lose this match. This was like a title shot. And at one point, she came in with the assumption of, like, they're going to put the belt on her, like, as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became a delay to even debut her. And then it was, we're in a tag team program. And then, not really getting the primary WrestleMania program kind of shoot in at the very end. And, you get to SummerSlam, and all conventional logic is put the belt on her and see if she can carry the responsibility, and she can do that. They decided not to do that.
By the way, I thought Tiffany Stratton looked fantastic. She looked in tremendous shape tonight. She got in SummerSlam shape for sure. So Transferring Heat says Tiffany's future. I agree. Tiffany can be the future, and Jade Cargill still doesn't have to look like they gave up on her on the same night. Like those two things don't have to both be equally true. So I wonder if it's back to the drawing board with Jade, if that was maybe a little bit of a punishment. Like they didn't have to do it this way, is my point. She didn't have to win Queen of the Ring if she was going to come in and as a challenger basically be nothing to lose the match. Like you could have done it so differently.
I think there was a conscious decision to do it this way because there was a conscious decision to book Gunther the way that he was booked, losing the title. If Jade wasn't going to win the title, she could have been booked a lot stronger than she was in this match. It was at best 50-50. And so for her to go in and summarily lose becomes a case of like, well, Naomi's off in the other brand. We're maybe looking at Bianca Belair as the next person to go challenge Tiffany in some way, unless we're running back Nia Jax. There aren't a whole lot of people on that roster on the women's side that they could create a fresh new feud with, and yet they still decided to keep the belt on Tiffany.
We talked about the last two matches, or the last three technically, with the cash-in, so we don't have to go over those matches. But I was interested in your thoughts on let's first do a grade. Let me see. Do I have our little graphic here and our little audio? Yeah, hang on. Let's do a report card grade here.
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man. You need an interpreter? It's time to go to school.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm going B-. I was thinking C+, but I think the cash-in was good enough for me to go B-.
I was gonna go B.
Okay. Good. We're kind of in the same area with it. Paul and I on the last episode of the Takedown, we kind of went back and forth about what style of card would you rather watch? Like, do you want to give 5 hours of one of your evenings away to watch an AEW show? Or do you want to give 2 of your evenings, but maybe 3.5 hours each, and watch a WWE show? And if I am watching live, I think the answer changes, because if I'm watching on a delay, I probably like the WWE style more because I can zip through all of the nonsense. So did you are you looking forward to going back to Dave's tomorrow and watching night 2, or would you rather have this been 1 5.5 hour night 1 and that was it?
I think I prefer WWE to be 2 nights, because the way that they structure their programming on the show is such that I would be exceptionally more frustrated after 5.5 hours of a WWE program than I am for 5.5 hours of an AEW pay-per-view. I just think AEW pay-per-views are absolutely bloated and that you can hold some of this back, but I'm not going to tell anybody that you should offer less content for the same amount of money in a world where we are constantly being bombarded by shitification. So we're not doing that. But when you look at it on that aspect, I think I would much prefer a 3.5 hour bloated program where I can, sit and shoot the breeze with people rather than, do 6 hours of that, because you're just tired and the next day sucks. And, I know we record, not everybody records after these shows or anything like that, but there's a lot of extra work to be put on when you're talking about this afterwards.
All right. Now, I'm assuming you're gonna have Punk and Gunther is your best match of the night.
Yeah, it was a one match card.
Yeah, I think so.
And to me too.
What about worst match? What would you consider the worst match?
Oh, Cross
tonight?
and Sammy by far.
Okay, I think that's right though. If we're just talking about performance, I was just so frustrated with that Jelly Roll performance. I don't know if it was
the athleticism of Logan Paul and had the high spot of the night.
Yeah,
you know, with
for sure.
with the frog splash onto the announce table. It's like I can't call that the worst match because of that.
By the way, when we're talking about Seth Rollins, I've had 2 people tell me that their kids got sad to the point of tears when CM Punk got cashed in on.
Good. At least somebody felt something for
job,
it.
guys. Yeah, making kids cry. Remember when they used to put smile on people's faces? Now they put tears.
Oh man! Remember when Hogan turned to the NWO and all those Hulkamaniacs burned their shirts?
You know, when I saw that dude turn heel, and he went for the second leg drop on Macho, I leg dropped the floor at the same time. I was so fired up.
You wanted to give the Earth the what for that betrayal.
I was a 20-year-old dude by then, still doing phantom leg drops on the floor.
It amazes me that we had a SummerSlam where, for the most part, nothing happened until the main event. Like, it was just such a pedestrian, like, here's a match, like, we're going to produce, and, like, it was just very formulaic, again, mechanical, and the cash-in, again, it, like, Fernando earlier said, like, Seth versus Punk has been a really great program. And I don't want to take away from any of that. It absolutely has been. And it has been elevated by the talent of Seth, of Punk, even Roman when his part is to play in all this. Like, this stuff is the most compelling, like, programming that you have in WWE. My whole issue is that I think most succinctly, I tried to get back to it earlier, but I didn't. It's like there's just an X factor missing in the whole product. Just some type of X factor that was there in 2022 and 2023 when Triple H or Paul Levesque got the reins, and it was just like, okay, here we go. This is the new like thing, and we've settled into comfortable, and comfortable is fine. Everybody's good with comfortable, but I just want the spark.
Yeah, no, I'm with you.
Getting it. I just don't have it right now.
I'm with you. Okay, so I guess we'll guess the big Dave star rating. I don't know if you actually heard any tonight, but I'm really interested in what you think he's going to give the Punk Gunther match and also the opener.
4 for the opener. 4.25 for Punk and Gunther.
I was thinking 4 and 4.5, so we're pretty close on that one as well.
Yeah, it could be 4.5, but when I was talking to him, it was like there you can kind of guess when he says it was very good and not great. It's kind of a giveaway that it's above 4, but not 4 3/4.
Yeah, totally. All right, let's preview night 2 now. Tomorrow evening. After night 2, they're going to be up probably a little bit after around 8:00 Pacific. We were scheduled to go at 8, but I was able to get done with the show much quicker. I think Scott tomorrow night has to work, so he may not get through it as quickly. But they're scheduled to go up at 8 p.m. Pacific. If they are done with the stuff that they need to, they may go earlier as well.
It's going to be so shocking that it's just going to give everybody more time to digest their thoughts before Keela and Scott unpack Cody and Cena one last time.
Yeah, so they'll be up live tomorrow night on night 2. So let's talk a little bit about night 2. I'm actually interested in what you think about night 2, at least on paper, compared to night 1. We have the Women's World Championship triple threat, Naomi, Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky. Lots of people are excited for that one. Becky Lynch and Lyra. I think a lot of people think that's going to be an excellent match as well.
Are there any stipulations to that match?
Yes, there are many stipulations to this match. No DQ, no count out.
Okay.
Last chance for Lyra if she doesn't beat Becky. It's funny because John and I were talking about this on the Fight Game podcast. Cody and Cena is a street fight. Becky and Lyra is essentially a street fight as well. And then you have a triple threat match, was essentially a no disqualification match.
Correct. You're pinging what I'm pinging here.
And then you have a Solo Sikoa Jacob Fatu in a steel cage match.
That's 5.
And then you have the 6-pack TLC match. The only normal match is Dom and AJ, and you know there's going to be shenanigans up the wazoo in that match.
I would not be shocked in the slightest if that one ended in a disqualification.
Yeah, it's the only one that doesn't have a no DQ stip in it.
There's a part of me that thinks that AJ might win this title, and then Dominic ends up winning that mega championship at the AAA show in a couple of weeks. But I'm also like, why does it matter if Dom loses the title? Why can't he just win both titles and walk around like everyone else has multiple titles? Like, does it really matter? So that was the one where I was like, man, they're just going hot and mean on the stipulations, and then you have Dominic and AJ.
I imagine, now I'm not going to say for sure, but I would imagine if it comes to that special sauce that you're talking about, there's going to be a better chance that happens on night 2 just because of the matchups. Both women's matches seem like they have a chance to be really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are a fan of that TLC style of match, which, I mean, I like it, but we've seen so many of them. I imagine you're going to see some great spots in that match. You have some really, really smart wrestlers like Gargano and Ciampa, Fraxia, Motor City Machine Guns. You have Montez Ford, who's probably going to, try and jump as high as humanly possible in a match like this. And, Andrade and Phoenix together, they kind of, you were talking about Alexa Bliss trying to prove something. I think those guys, they need to prove something themselves because I think they could be an excellent, excellent tag team if given the chance. And it's funny because no Penta on this show. I think, is he hurt? Is that what his deal is?
I don't think so. He was doing a show last week in Mexico, and he was all dressed up for his entrance. And
okay, but we've been waiting for Penta and Phoenix to get together, and until that happens, Rey Fenix is in a tag team with somebody else. But I do think that tag team can be excellent because both of those guys are really good. So that match should deliver. It's just if you're into the shenanigans.
Dare I say, is that the Steal the Weekend match?
Yeah, I think they're going to try. Solo and Jacob, I love the Solo character. I'm so entertained by Solo. His wrestling is a little stale and too samey for me, but maybe this is the match where we get to see Solo kind of come out of his shell a little bit because Jacob, I think we're going to see Jacob try and do that moonsault off the top of the cage, and that's going to be nuts.
Talatonga can be catching him on the outside of the ring.
True, very true. So yeah, like night 2, I think is going to be the better wrestling show. This was going to be the nightcap moment show. What do you think's going to happen with Cena and Cody?
I mean, we talked about this off the air, but this is either like the speed run of the Cena turn because he's only got 15 more things, and like he's gonna win this match or lose this match. There's four outcomes. He wins and he stays heel. He wins and he turns babyface, or he loses and stays heel, or he loses and turns babyface. At this point, I don't even really care. I just want him to have a good story on the way out and just give me something I can put my teeth into. I watched that promo on SmackDown that was incredibly bizarre and was either the face turn that happened and Cody's turning heel, or
do you think The Rock actually got it? Is The Rock's going to get his soul?
I mean, at some point, Rock's going to have to find another guy because Cena's taken off.
Yeah.
like
he didn't even do anything with Cena. He
No.
bounced so hard.
He
Poor
lost
John.
interest in the story, and he was like, and then John's like, I was left all alone, and I realized that I didn't have anything left. I'm like,
you know why? He didn't fucking get his way. That's why he left.
just like the story didn't go according to plan until he's like, yeah, you guys can figure yourself out of this one. I really liked the nostalgia moment of Cena holding the title, doing the champ is here, getting all that stuff. Now there's going to be archival footage in this final run that they can trot out at any given point of him in his final run, doing the victorious, the champ is here, and the crowd going wild. There's no manipulation or AI of it. It's legitimate footage. They manipulated the audience into getting all this, and they can go to do whatever they want tomorrow night. Like the mission is accomplished. People got that like traditional Cena promo, babyface, champ is here, all that stuff. At this point, if Cody turns, okay, I'm actually kind of into this idea of, a really shitty Cody Rhodes just acting like Ric Flair all over the place and just making the crowd hate him. I think that could be a lot of fun.
You know what's interesting about that? He was on, I mentioned he was on the Bill Simmons show. He is of the idea that he doesn't even really turn. He just lets the fans boo him if they want to boo him. And so if he does turn, I want to see what you just said, which is his version of the Nature Boy Ric Flair versus this ambiguous gray Cody Rhodes, which is the Cody Rhodes that we saw in AEW near the end, where fans were just booing him and he was kind of being the same guy, but to them, he was just all of a sudden uncool. If he does turn, I would love to see this Ric Flair version or an actual heel version rather than an in-the-middle version. Okay, last thing, and we're going to get out of here. And like I said, tomorrow evening, Keela and Scott will be here, and they will be your hosts for night 2 of the SummerSlam WWE post-game live show. Was there any celebrities that you were like, oh, that's kind of cool? Or are you just kind of like, they think everybody's a celebrity and they let all these YouTubers in and stuff?
I saw Nick Hogan. I thought that was nice. Lady B would be upset if I didn't give Cardi B her flowers and just say that she really tied the room together and really getting the energy going.
Did you see her elbow? What is that kid's name? Drewski or
Drewski?
Yeah.
Yeah, that dude looked like the greatest thing had ever happened to him when Cardi B decided to like acknowledge his existence.
Yeah, she just kind of like, she was like, and boom, he just took one.
He's like, yeah, Cardi B, hi.
My favorite one was the Don Cartagena himself, Fat Joe, he can't even be called Fat Joe anymore because he's like Slim Joe. That was my favorite one, and I was kind of wondering. I was like, I don't remember him being a wrestling fan, but maybe he was there to support Cardi B, or maybe he is a wrestling fan, and I just don't remember.
I have one more for you. Nikki Bella, who, after all this time, the Evolution plan goes up in smoke. She gets one party match tag on Raw, gets injured, and can't even do anything other than serve Papa John's pizza.
It's a commercial
in the SummerSlam backstage.
Did she actually get hurt?
I think Piper busted her implant on an elbow drop.
Gosh.
I believe terrible. That is what she reported happened a couple of days ago.
Dang.
Yeah, so she wouldn't be able to even perform on this show anyways. And the way that she was portrayed on here was just like, oh, we gotta find a spot for Nikki. You know what I mean?
Like she was like the
delivery girl.
Well, they needed somebody who wasn't a dude playing a wrestling character to be in this commercial, and she knows television, so she was perfect for it.
She was just another wrestler on the roster.
Yeah, but she was totally fine in that moment at the same time, because they don't want those partnerships to get. They want those things to be good. They don't want those things to suck.
I hear you. The whole thing, it was just kind of like, I was thinking about it like, man, that kind of sucks.
Well, but then I mean, you had the New Day in there, and the New Day are still stars. They
and
just
then you
are
had
not
what
in
the
a
Alpha
spot.
Academy,
the Alpha Academy. You had the tag team who they're the AAA tag team champions. What is their names?
Yeah. The Los Garces.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Real top talent for Nikki Bella to hobnoblin.
But what I see out of those partnerships is they want a lot of different faces, but you also need people who can do that stuff professionally, which is why the New Day and Nikki Bella were kind of the main people, because you know that they're going to do a good job and they're going to tie it together, and you're going to tell Papa John's Pizza, like, look, we did a good job. Let's keep working together.
Everything about it is sound. I've got no issues with any of it whatsoever. It's just Nikki Bella's main role in SummerSlam was in a backstage skit for pizza. And that is like, that to me is like, yes, there is value to that, but I'm not sure that when she envisioned her coming back for this run, that this is how she thought it was going to be.
Well, if she didn't get hurt, maybe she would have been on the show. Who knows?
Who knows?
Okay. That is it from here. So thanks to Jeremy for jumping on with me. We wanted to support the crew, the WWE crew, and not have Scott and Keela feel like they had to do every single post WWE PLE show. So that is why we jumped on today, and I like splitting the responsibilities here so everybody stays fresh and nobody feels like they're doing too much stuff. So.
And they'll have all their hot takes tomorrow for night one, too. So you get to hear everything they thought about night one.
Yeah. And so when is the next AEW show?
Forbidden Door, 24th or 25th.
Okay. So that's in like a little bit over 3 weeks. And then when's the next WWE show after SummerSlam?
I think that is the first weekend in September.
Okay.
Maybe Clash in Paris.
Yeah, that's I know that's the next one.
Yeah,
So,
I want to say it's the Sunday before Labor Day.
It is August 31st.
Oh, that's what it is.
Okay, so we'll
and
have,
then that Monday will be a Raw. That's what they were advertising. I couldn't remember.
So we'll have some opportunities with the post game live show for AEW. We'll see who does that, and also for Clash in Paris. So you may see us again. You may see some other faces, but all right. That is it from here. Thanks to everybody who was hanging out with us in the chat. For Jeremy, I am Double G. We will see you when we see you. Peace out.